Since we are familiar with all the trig functions now, we are going to look at whether each of those trig functions have a value that's positive or negative in each quadrant. So recall that the sine of an angle is equivalent to y. The cosine of an angle is equivalent to x. The tangent of an angle is equivalent to y over x. The cosecant of an angle is equivalent to 1 over y. The secant of an angle is equivalent to 1 over x. And then the cotangent of an angle is equivalent to x over y. So we're going to use our knowledge of these identities to figure out whether the value of the function in each quadrant is positive or negative. So if I look at a point on the unit circle looking at quadrant 1, I'll label it as x and y. In quadrant 1, both my x and y are positive. So looking at y, okay, y is going to be positive, so sine is going to be positive. Since cosine is equal to x and x is positive, cosine is going to be positive. Tangent is y over x. And since both x and y are positive, a positive divided by a positive is positive. And then if I go through the list of all of these, we will find that these are all positive in the first quadrant. Same idea. So if I keep going, cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent. And if tangent is positive and I take the reciprocal of a positive number, it's still positive. So now jumping over to quadrant 2. These are positive in the second quadrant because if I pick a point on the circle in the second quadrant, x is going to be negative in the second quadrant, but y is going to be positive. So anything involving y, just y, is going to be positive. So for example, sine is equal to y, so sine is going to be positive. Cosecant is equal to 1 over y, so that's positive. 1 over a positive number is a positive number. But if we start looking at the other values that involve x, those are going to be negative. So cosine of your angle is x, so cosine is going to be negative. Since secant is the reciprocal of cosine, 1 over a negative number is negative, so secant is going to be negative. Since tangent is y over x, we know y is a positive and x is a negative. A positive divided by a negative is going to be negative. So tangent in the second quadrant is going to be negative. And because cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent, the reciprocal of a negative number is also going to be negative. So cotangent is also going to be negative. So these are all your negative values in the second quadrant. In the third quadrant, x and y are both negative. So anything that involves both x and y is going to be positive. So tangent and cotangent are both going to be positive because if you take y over x or x over y, if they're both negative, a negative over a negative is going to be a positive. So these are going to be positive and everything else is going to be negative. So cosine is going to be negative, sine is going to be negative, secant and cosecant. These are all going to be negative in the third quadrant. Okay, in the fourth quadrant, x is going to be positive, but y is going to be negative. So anything that involves just a y is going to be negative, and anything that involves x is going to be positive. So cosine is equal to x, so cosine is going to be positive. Secant is the reciprocal of cosine, and the reciprocal of a positive number is positive. So these values are positive, and everything else is going to be negative because if y is negative, we know sine is going to be negative. Since cosecant is the reciprocal of sine, we know cosecant is going to be negative because the reciprocal of a negative number is negative. And then cotangent and tangent are going to also be negative because you'll have a positive divided by a negative. So these will be negative in the fourth quadrant. Okay, we are going to use the idea now that we know where our trig functions are positive, negative, and we're also going to tie in reference angles to find all 6 trig functions at the angle of minus pi over 6. So if I look at my unit circle, here's my y-axis, here's my x-axis, here's pi, and here's 0. Here's pi over 2, and here's 3 pi over 2. I'm going to break this up, and since it's minus, we're going to be going in the clockwise direction. I'm going to break my bottom half of the circle into 6 pieces. So when I swing open in the negative direction, here's minus pi over 6, here's 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6, 4 pi over 6, 5 pi over 6. So if I come out in the negative direction, minus 5 pi over 6, we land right here. So this from here to here has to be pi over 6. That's my reference angle. It's where my terminal side makes an angle with my x-axis. That's my reference angle. So this angle here, my reference angle, is pi over 6. That means if I look over here and I swing open pi over 6, this point here and this point here should be exactly the same other than sign changes. So at pi over 6, if I look at my unit circle on my reference sheet, at pi over 6, this is the square root of 3 over 2. And 1/2, which means this point over here, since it's in the third quadrant, I should have minus the square root of 3 over 2 and minus 1/2. So I want to find all 6 trig functions at this point right here when I sweep open minus 5 pi over 6. So I want to find the sine of my angle, my cosine of my angle. I want to find my tangent of the angle, cosecant, secant, and cotangent. Keeping in mind that t is minus 5 pi over 6. The angle that we're talking about is minus 5 pi over 6. So really I could replace all these t's with minus 5 pi over 6. All right, so remember, sine is the y coordinate at this point, so that would be minus 1/2. Cosine is the x coordinate, so that's minus the square root of 3 over 2. Tangent is y over x, which is minus 1/2 over minus the square root of 3 over 2. And if I clear the complex fraction by multiplying the top and the bottom by 2, I'm going to get a positive 1 over the square root of 3 because I have a negative divided by a negative. So if you look back at the previous slide, you'll notice in quadrant 3, tangent is positive, and it should be because you have 2 negatives, a negative divided by a negative. Cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. The reciprocal of sine is -2. In the third quadrant, cosecant is negative, so that's correct. Secant is the reciprocal of cosine, so that's minus 2 over the square root of 3. Secant in the third quadrant should be negative. Cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent, so that's the square root of 3 over 1, positive, which is the square root of 3. And if you look at the previous slide that we just did, you'll see in the third quadrant, the only ones that are positive should be tangent and cotangent, which is what we have here. And everything else in the third quadrant should be negative.